Alrighty, how is everybody doing? Welcome in, guys, to another edition of Slaughterhouse Sports. We are going to upload tonight. We're going to upload about 4 or 5 videos tonight, and we're going to do that. Okay, so it's the dead of February, and NFL draft season is coming up really soon. And we're going to talk tonight about the New York Giants. And if you're a New York Giants fan, the last couple of weeks have been just really tumultuous. They've been really painful. I mean, you've watched John Mara pretty much ruin the franchise. And it's been really frustrating. And the New York Giants, they decided to go with Daniel Jones. And Daniel Jones literally had one good year. I don't need to relitigate the entire Daniel Jones experience, but he never could throw the ball deep. And for some reason, I have no idea why Cam Ward is not considered one of the best quarterback prospects to come out of college in a very long time. I mean, I know that Jaden Daniels won the Heisman. I know that Jaden Daniels is taller than Cam Ward, but why is it that Cameron Ward is not considered to be amongst some of the great prospects in NFL history when looking at quarterback? I mean, Cam Ward, he checks so many boxes. And I'll compare him to Shaduer Sanders in this video, but Cam Ward can throw the football from any angle. He's really explosive quarterback. He is accurate layering the football. He can really move left and fire the ball into tight windows. He has incredible just spatial awareness in the pocket. Like, he knows that when a defense is rushing 3, he just has that sense of calm. So he has a natural feel for the position. He can gun the ball in. He can layer it with touch. He can make every single throw. His intangibles are impeccable. I mean, this is a guy who was a 0-star recruit, didn't even get any Division I offers, had no Division I offers, and he's had to make it from nothing. I mean, so many players nowadays are pampered, 5-star, have it all. And Cam Ward's the total opposite. And you want to bet on a guy like that has that chip on his shoulder. And maybe I'm trying to figure out why Cam Ward is not considered up there with the quarterbacks last year. I think that the reason is because it's ACC bias. It's Miami. It's a couple of games where at times he'll take poor sacks just to criticize Cam. I mean, against Georgia Tech, like, at times he can get loose with the football, but I'm not exactly that worried about it. I mean, the defense at Miami was atrocious all season long. I mean, against Virginia Tech, against Cal, against Georgia Tech, they couldn't stop a nosebleed. Against Syracuse, every game turned into a track meet. And if they did not have Cam Ward, Mario Cristobal would either be out of a job at Miami or he would be a 7-5 coach. And every Miami fan knows this, okay? Every game, even against Duke, they allowed Duke to score 30 points. So every game, Cam Ward needed to score 40 points, and he damn near did it every single game. So, I mean, I think that maybe Cam Ward is maybe brash, overconfident. Maybe, Cam Ward is, I mean, he's a trash talker, and a lot of quarterbacks are not out there with that swagger and confidence. And I mean, Cam Ward he's loose, he's comfortable in his own skin, confident. And I think that some people in the NFL, they look at the access of Shaduer Sanders, they look at the access of Cam Ward, and they view these guys as kind of like overconfident and narcissistic, but by having their own YouTube channel, by just their brash word confidence. I mean, we even saw, with Cam Ward, him saying that teams are already going to have a mistake, and they allow a lot of access. That's the thing about Colorado and Deion Sanders, and they push the envelope with the access. But there are some, teams in the NFL, And they want their quarterbacks to be quiet and stay out of the limelight. They want their star players to kind of, just stay out of the limelight and not open on YouTube. And I like seeing their personalities. I like seeing people's personalities. Some personalities, when you open the personality up, some people are not going to like it. I happen to love Cam Ward's personality. I got to tell you, and he's exactly what the Giants need, because they need a shot in the arm. They need someone with that brash confidence. He's perfect for a New York Giants that needs some success. I mean, all the Giants do is feel sorry for themselves with the Saquon Barkley thing, and they need some mojo and confidence and swagger. And I just think that the Giants are going to overthink it. I look at Shaduer Sanders. When you even watch Shaduer and Cam Ward throw next to each other, Cam Ward's just a lot more explosive. Lower body's more explosive. He's 1,000,000% twitchier than Shaduer. Jackson Dart's a little bit twitchy, but Jackson doesn't have like the arm talent. I think that Sanders' strength is that he can layer the ball very well. He's very, very accurate. His timing is pretty damn precise. But I think he's like a Jared Goffian kind of quarterback, going into the NFL, where I look at Cam Ward and, my gosh, he's an explosive player. Trying to even think of a comp for Cam Ward. Man, it's not that easy. I mean, he has a little bit of Air McNair. He kind of plays a little bit, even Kyler Murray. Like, I know Kyler Murray's 5'10", but Kyler Murray was so patient in the pocket, and Kyler Murray will make plays outside of structure about as good as anybody. Let me think of a quarterback I know that Patrick is very twitched up, but I'm not going to compare anybody to Mahomes. I'm trying to think about a quarterback that's like incredibly twitchy. I mean, Baker Mayfield kind of has this, kind of throwing way about him, where he's a very twitched up and really, really good athlete. Where Baker can like get the snap and have that momentum, have that backwards and forward momentum to whip the ball. Like, who has a whippy kind of motion? It's funny. I view Caleb as a little bit smaller than Cam Ward. And I just think that Cam can really be a superstar in the league. Justin Herbert's taller. A lot of guys are taller than Cam. Is 6'2" and incredibly, incredibly twitchy. So I think that he can immediately hit the NFL, and he's like 22, going to be 22 years old, maybe 23. He has great experience. Like, I think he's a star quarterback. Like, if we're talking about next year's QB class, right, and this is going to be another year next year, so the quarterbacks that are projected to come out next year, you have Drew Aller, who's going to get better and who's going to be a stud and who's going to be a top 5 pick. You have Garrett Nussmeier, who could go on to win a national championship. He's going to be a guy next year. You're going to have Nico Yamiya, who, again, is like pretty twitchy, throws a ridiculous deep ball, but plays in an offense in Josh Heupel's scheme where you're not going through a lot of progression reads. It's not easy to go from Heupel to the NFL. It's easier in the Shannon Dawson system, but Nico's as toolsy as anybody. So Nico has tools. Then you have Arch Manning. He's only going to have 1 year of college experience. I think Arch could even play 2 years. I mean, why would Arch want to leave Texas? Why would he want to leave the Longhorns after 1 year just to spend 1 more year in the NFL? He's a guy that is fortunate to, be a part of the Manning family. It just is what it is. So, I think that, like, you talk about somebody, the contract's going to be important to Arch. Sure, it is. I mean, like, money is still important for anybody. I don't care how, wealthy your family's going to be. But playing 2 years in college, like only playing 1 year at Texas, like that's an underwhelming college career. I mean, Cam Newton, I guess, played 1 year at Auburn and had that unbelievable season. But don't you think that as a player playing the game of football, don't you think that you'd want to be the Texas quarterback for more than 13 games? You look at Colt McCoy, or you look at the great quarterbacks that have played at Texas. Sam Ehlinger played 4 years at Texas, like Colt McCoy. Vince Young played multiple seasons. I'm almost positive at the University of Texas. Matt Leinart, like, you want to be what your brother, both of his uncles played quarterback at Ole Miss for 3 years and then played at Tennessee for 3 years. So I do not get this Cam Ward just hatred. I think people might still be looking at him as a Washington State product. I think he's unconventional in the way that he, came through. Like, he wasn't a 5-star recruit. He wasn't heralded like Trevor Lawrence, even Tua. Every other quarterback that's been drafted high, like Jaden Daniels was a 4-star. Caleb was a 5-star. McCarthy was a 4-star from IMG. Bo Nix was a 5-star. Michael Penix, very unconventional as a 3-star and kind of got dinged throughout the draft process. Really did. So, I mean, it's interesting the plays here and why is it that Cam Ward, I just don't see holes in his game. I really don't. And I think it might be the brash confidence. I think, you look at Cam Ward and his QB coach, like he's not with, Steve Clarkson. He's not with Jordan Palmer. So all of these guys kind of feed information to, the guys that are talking about these draft prospects. So it's almost like when you're your own agent, you're not going to control any of these narratives. So, or maybe the New York Giants, maybe the Tennessee Titans, maybe the Giants are downplaying it. I mean, Shaduer Sanders is getting quite a push from the New York Giants, but Cam Ward, everybody's like, oh, Cam Ward is not that good of a prospect. There's no quarterbacks in this draft. Quote, no quarterbacks. We're thinking it's like the Kenny Pickett draft. I think it could also be because last year with these quarterbacks like Jaden Daniels had a great year. Bo Nix. So those were the 2 top guys in the rookie class. People are really excited about Drake May, and I don't think Drake is as good. You have Michael Penix, who had big moments last year, and then Caleb, and Caleb did struggle, but Caleb had his shot, had his moments, and it was a terrible situation with Eberflus, and the wild plays are still there. So it's just interesting. Like the New York Giants, Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll, they need to find a way probably to get to 1. And if Tennessee, honestly, if it costs you next year's 1 and maybe an additional pick, you do it. If it costs you 2 1s and a swap, I don't believe that you do it. So I think like a swap to 3 and a 1 next year will get that trade done with Tennessee. And I think that you have to do it. You have to do it as quickly as possible. I mean, you look at where else can the Giants go for quarterback? I mean, especially with Brian Daboll. How else are you going to get momentum? Are you going to take a 38-year-old Matthew Stafford on a roster on a defense that's not good enough to win right now? You look at Cam Ward, you can get a guard in the free agent pool. You have some wide receivers for Cam Ward. You have a running game with Tyrone Tracy. You have Malik Neighbors, Theo Johnson. Wan'Dale Robinson is not a bad wide receiver 3 or even a wide receiver 2. And this division right now is littered with, it's littered with good offense and good quarterback, with Jaden and Jalen Hurts. So Dak Prescott's going to be healthy. I mean, are the Giants really going to go with a stopgap at quarterback? Like, I look at Sam Darnold, and I think that he's fine, but Sam also had the best receiver in the NFL, maybe like a top 3 guy in Jefferson, a top 12 guy in Addison, a top 8 tight end in Hawkinson, one of the best wide receiver 3s in the NFL, and just geniuses in a dome calling plays in Kevin O'Connell and Grant Udinski. And also the schedule that they played last year when Darnold was just getting going. They played Tennessee, they played Jacksonville, they played the AFC South, which sucks. So that's a huge reason why I believe like the Minnesota Vikings were that good. I believe that they played the South last year. I know that they played Jacksonville. I remember them playing Tennessee. So their schedule was soft. And then what ended up happening was that the North ended up flaming out in the playoffs. You had the Packers go down. You had the Vikings go down. So you really want to go end up with a Sam Darnold at quarterback. You really want to go out there and get a Justin Fields and try to be a pocket passing team, with Justin, or your offensive line is not good enough to have a quarterback who primarily runs it. Pittsburgh even had a better chance at an offensive line with Najee Harris and the physical guys that they draft up front and the physical nature of Pittsburgh, and they weren't even able to really have good offensive structure with Justin. It wasn't even that, productive. So, I just think the Giants got to find a way to go up and get Cam. Because even next year, what is this quarterback class that everybody's clamoring for next year? And so if the nightmare scenario, if they don't take your number one pick, the best scenario is that, and that's rolling the dice if you're Joe Schoen, is that fine. You take a quarterback for a year or two. You don't want to pay the Rams. I don't want to trade with the Rams and give them a third or give them draft capital for a quarterback you're only going to have 1 year. It's not like Matt is going to bring you a ring. I don't think Stafford's going to bring you a ring next year or even get you deep into the playoffs. So, the best case scenario is that Abdul Carter goes number one to the Titans and you sit, and then Travis Hunter goes to the Cleveland Browns, and then at number 3 you end up getting Cam Ward and not trading anything. That is the optimum situation. Probably the worst situation is if Abdul Carter goes number 2 to the Browns. I don't feel like drafting Hunter at the third pick to be a cornerback 1. That could be Derek Stingley's a nice player. Sauce is a good football player. As a corner, the Giants don't even have if the Giants even had a great corner on their roster already, then it would even be that much more attractive because then you could get 2 really good corners. In that scenario, you got to get a first rounder next year and trade back. Then you will take your Drew Allers or Nussmeier in the following year. But then again, you're stuck with Joe Schoen, you're stuck with Brian Daboll. This was a perfect year to let go of Schoen and Daboll. You could have hired Kellen Moore. You could have hired Liam Cohen. There's great coaches that got hired in this cycle. Ben Johnson. I think that those 3 are the best coaches that have gotten hired in this cycle. And now next year you're going to end up with an Anthony Campanelli, or you're going to end up maybe with Jesse Minter, or I don't know. You're just prolonging all of this stuff. So the Giants, man, it's tough where they're at right now. It really, really is. Yeah, I think that Cam Ward is the obvious choice, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts in the comments, guys, about laying it out there. The Giants, Cam Ward, why isn't he talked about as this incredible prospect? I rate him as a 9.5 prospect, and he might not have the height, the size. I'm trying to think of what prospect was the the perfect prospect. It's funny, the best quarterbacks in the NFL were all okay college football players when you look at it. Every single quarterback that's really, really, except for Joe Burrow. So, all righty, guys. Thank you for watching.